Behind closed doors in the high-stakes world of politics and stardom, there exist stories that refuse to be buried, truths that cannot be silenced, and deaths that contradict official accounts. One such tale is that of Ambassador Enkosinathi, a shocking case that rattled 2 continents and is now resurfacing with new revelations from Paris. Initially framed as a tragic accident, Enkosinathi, formerly a South African minister and, at the time, France's envoy, was found dead at the luxurious High Regency Hotel in Paris after a fall from the 22nd floor. Authorities quickly ruled the death a suicide. But tonight, we uncover the hidden layers of this mystery, the dark forces that surrounded this political titan, and expose new evidence that could unmask his killers. The truth behind the Enkosinathi case is far more sinister than any suicide note could ever suggest, implicating powerful figures and hinting at a national crisis. The shocking announcement of Enkosinath's death spread like wildfire. Nathi Imon, an esteemed diplomat who had once held key ministerial positions and fought as part of the ANC struggle, was suddenly gone. French officials confirmed the grim discovery: his 58-year-old body found in the inner courtyard below his 22nd floor hotel room, one of the highest vantage points in Western Paris. A narrative quickly formed, a message of apology to his wife, an expression of despair, and evidence suggesting self-harm. Investigators pointed to a tampered window safety latch and a pair of scissors at the scene, seemingly building an airtight case of suicide. Yet, for those familiar with South Africa's deep-seated political corruption, the explanation seemed too neat, too convenient. The story placed public comfort above truth and marked the beginning of what now appears to be an elaborate cover-up. To understand the weight of the Paris leak, one must consider the immense pressure Enkosinathi faced. His appointment as French ambassador in late 2023 was widely seen as a graceful escape from long-standing controversies that plagued his political career. As a former police minister and later arts and culture minister, Enkosinath's tenure had been clouded by corruption scandals. His name surfaced in testimony during the Zondo and Madlanga commissions, with allegations that he had pressured officials to reinstate discredited intelligence heads Richard and Luli and misused Secret Service funds. Reports even claimed that approximately $19,500 from a covert fund was spent on a private KwaZulu-Natal property project. Despite his excuses, the taint of impropriety clung to him. Enkosinathi had become a political liability in a ruthless power game where silence was often bought or forced. This is precisely what makes the suicide theory so dubious. Enkosinathi was not just a diplomat, he was a man who knew too much. The recent Paris leak reshapes everything. Disenchanted members of the French investigative team allegedly released confidential forensic documents that dismantled the suicide narrative. The so-called suicide note, a message to his wife, was long described as an apology letter tinged with hopelessness. But leaked transcripts and metadata reveal something entirely different, a distress signal, not a farewell. The metadata shows the message was sent blocks away from the hotel, suggesting Enkosinathi was either abducted or lured out, and that the text could have been staged by another person to fabricate a suicide. This revelation introduces a third-party presence and shatters the lone suicide story. Further leaked forensic data intensifies suspicion. Although French officials initially found no signs of struggle, the new documents include photos and lab reports indicating that the hotel window safety mechanism had been forcibly tampered with. The amount of force required didn't match Enkosinath's physical profile, hinting that a younger or stronger individual was involved. Even more damning, DNA found near the window and on the scissors did not belong to Enkosinathi. This foreign DNA, cross-referenced with international databases, has turned what was labeled a suicide into a high-profile murder case. Those traces point directly to foreign operatives, alleged enforcers working under political orders. The story has shifted from personal tragedy to a calculated conspiracy. If Enkosinathi was indeed murdered, the central question becomes, who stood to gain from the assassination of an ambassador in one of the world's most surveilled cities? Insiders suggest that the motive lies deep within South Africa's political rot. Enkosinathi was a weak link, a man whose testimony or cooperation could have exposed powerful figures tied to state capture and corruption. His death, therefore, may have been an act of damage control, a silencing of someone who knew too much. According to these leaks, the assassins weren't just the individuals in that Paris hotel room but also the political architects who ordered the operation. It was not an impulsive act, it was a professional hit, crafted to appear as a desperate suicide. The implications for both France and South Africa are immense. New evidence demands a full re-examination of the events leading to Mthethwa's death. Why was he staying at a hotel instead of his official residence? Sources claim he was preparing to make a monumental decision, possibly turning state witness or leaking documents that could implicate high-ranking officials in corruption or unresolved crimes. His final days were marked not by despair, but by danger. His hotel stay might have been a setup for a clandestine meeting, a desperate exchange, or perhaps a deadly trap laid by those closest to him. The timeline, his advance booking, the stage scene, and the misleading message, now resembles a coordinated mission. The leaked forensic DNA, while not yet public, reportedly links to operatives associated with South Africa's deep state network, entities notorious for silencing threats to their power. These revelations have triggered a diplomatic storm, calling for an independent international inquiry free from political interference. Justice for Mthethwa is no longer just about one man, it is about defending every whistleblower crushed by the machinery of corruption. His murder, if proven, is not merely an attack on a person, but on transparency and accountability themselves. The masterminds behind the operation believed they were untouchable, that staging a suicide in Paris would shield them from exposure under the glare of global media. But scandals, especially among public servants, rarely remain buried for long. As this explosive story unfolds, pressure mounts on South African authorities to act, to accept the leaked evidence, reopen the investigation, and collaborate with France under the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty to obtain the full case file. Mthethwa's family continues to reject the suicide ruling, demanding truth and justice. This case, and the Paris leaks surrounding it, have become far more than a mystery about a diplomat's death. They expose the dark heart of political corruption and the immense risks faced by those entangled in it. The foreign DNA, the manipulated message, and the intricate conspiracy all point toward one inevitable conclusion: this was not a suicide, it was an execution. And as investigators follow the trail of money and secrets that led to that 22nd floor hotel room, one thing is certain: the fight for justice has only just begun.